Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. For those of you joining our channel for the first time, this is the place to learn everything about making your customers successful. And today we're going to focus on the process of making your processes better, really just reinventing your processes, making them more scalable, documenting them better. And I have none of the other than Ryanne Doumet, the customer success manager at PandaDoc, here with us today, who's done that, been there, went through all the challenges and figured out a few ways on how to document these customer success process workflows. And she's here today to share her best practices and even showing us how she incorporated those in a software system so that everything is much more scalable. Hey, Ryanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Ryanne, why did you even start looking at documenting and even optimizing some of your workflow processes for your customer success managers?
When I started with PandaDoc, I was a customer success manager. So I was in the trenches. I had that book of business, was trying to have really high value conversations with clients. And when I started out, we had some processes. We definitely were lacking quite a bit. And compared to where we are today, it's night and day. So we really wanted to start documenting our processes, iterating on them, optimizing them, to try to make everything scalable. We have one of our catchphrases at PandaDoc is scalable, repeatable, and profitable. So it kind of goes back to that. We wanted to scale, we want to grow as a team, but in doing that, we have to make sure we're adding value for our clients along the way. So really trying to improve our workflow was a key way of doing that.
Until that happened, what were some of the challenges that the team were facing without having, sounds like, the customer success processes documented or any specific templates, for example?
We were seeing a lot of inconsistencies across the team. So within the CS department itself, there was inconsistencies with the kind of messages we were delivering to clients, the decks we were creating. And then you take that further, right, between our account management team, our onboarding team. There's just inconsistencies across the board. Because we didn't have anything templatized and we hadn't really documented strong types of conversations to have with clients, everything was also really time consuming. The team was just spending so much time prepping for calls and trying to pull in all this data, which lived in a bunch of different places that took forever to pull, trying to decipher, okay, now that I've found all these data points, like what's important to share and how do I frame it? What's the narrative? So there was just a lot of time that went into it. There was inconsistency. That was really keeping us from having high value conversations.
It sounds like not only the team was inefficient or, really focusing on creating probably these processes from scratch, creating templates. Everybody had their own version, but that instead of focusing on what customer success managers are supposed to do, which is creating these value conversations, they ended up being busy recreating the wheel. That's a shame. Okay, so where did you start? What were some of the first templates or processes that you've defined? Where did you tackle it? Before we continue, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash that notification button so that you don't miss out on any new videos.
I want to say we started with 3. I think there's 3 key ones we want to know. We started with a monthly check-in deck, a quarterly check-in deck, and then we took that quarterly check-in deck one step further and started with a QBR. Those were really our strong starting points of, okay, we know that the information we're pulling into these kinds of decks is getting us good insights into how we can help our customers, but how do we strengthen that? And we started to just build on those. And coupled with templatizing everything, we also had multiple teams involved in building out what we call our WISE metrics, which are basically just KPIs that add value to the conversation specifically for PandaDoc. If you're using PandaDoc, what kind of metrics do we think are important for you to know based on research that we've done that are going to help you achieve the goals that you set out to achieve by purchasing us. So it was kind of this two-step process of let's templatize and let's really work to pull in the key data that's going to then frame a lot of the conversations and make it automated. Like, let's pull out all that manual work from the CSMs and just start to automate that process.
So the consistencies there, as well as the productivity. And it sounds like you tackled first the processes that took the longest to do manually. That was the main criteria?
Yeah, I would say it's a bit of a hybrid. The QBR is definitely our most extensive deck. There's so much data in there. It's definitely more built out than when we started. But I mean, in customer success, it's just known QBRs are your high value conversations. If there's any conversation you're going to pull in stakeholders on, it's typically going to be your QBRs. Definitely didn't want to overlook that one. And then the monthly and quarterly check-ins, I would say, were stripped down versions of a QBR. So they still had high value conversations, but they were more quick wins. They were templates that were like, okay, what can we turn around quickly that still drives value? Especially as we start to really build out that QBR. So that's why we started with those three. And then actually recently, one of the key ones we've introduced is a workflow consultation. And that has been such a key template for us to use to really dive deeper into aligning with our clients and making sure we are on the same page to support them how they want to be supported.
So just to explain to the audience, what does PandaDoc do and why workflow consultation is most important? And can it be relevant? Like, how would that look like for a different company? This type of meeting, I suppose.
Yeah, so to kind of go into just the core of what a workflow consultation is, at the base, it's really just aligning on how is our client using our software. When they start the process, do they start with our software? Do they actually start in a different software and then they end up in our software? We really want to understand the end-to-end. So at PandaDoc, typically you are working in a document that at the end, after you go through revisions and you add information, whether that's a pricing table, your table of contents, your MSA, whatever is comprising the document that you're sending out. One of the end goals is then getting a signature on that document. That's like our most standard use case, if you will, for PandaDoc. We offer a lot of other use cases, but we'll keep it simple to that one for now. When we have a workflow consultation, the questions are typically, how does that process start? Does it start with a salesperson? Does it start with an SDR instead? Does that same document end up going anywhere near your customer success team? Is legal involved? And we just try to connect all the dots to make sure we know what our client's process looks like and where we fit in to making their lives easier. So I would say it's relatable to honestly any customer success industry, software or not. Just figuring out, why did they purchase you? Where do you fit into their process? And making sure that you're pulse checking, because their needs may change as they grow with you or as they grow into different departments.
What I got of this type of meeting is that this is a methodology meeting. You're really just trying to assess, how did you incorporate my solution within your existing processes? And are there opportunities to optimize your process so that you can get the most value out of my system? Or if I have any adoption issues, I can highlight those through that process audit conversation. The reason I double clicked on that, the name of the video here is to reinvent or optimize your customer success processes. I don't think enough customer success teams are actually doing this kind of meeting with their clients. And I don't think that they're doing it for their own processes. Thank you for sharing how you structure it, because I do think that these type of questions are the questions that we should ask ourselves. If we are going to use a solution to make our processes more effective, we need to ask these questions and actually walk through that process and say, are there other ways that we could use whatever tool we're using in a better way? Are there any challenges in the processes that we can resolve with additional steps? And so this is so critical. So thank you for sharing that format.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've found it super helpful because there's key moments where that kind of conversation is really crucial. Like maybe your point of contact at the company has changed. Maybe there's a new head of the department that now is bringing in different visions. Maybe it's just been a while since you've aligned. Maybe you've been doing check-ins, you've been doing QBRs, but you want to just level set. You've been with us for 2 years. What's your growth plan look like? Let's talk through new features that could enhance how you're already currently using us. Clients don't know what they don't know, right? So It's our job to ask the right questions and deliver the appropriate kind of insights to really help them get from point A to point B.
When we're optimizing our customer success processes and specifically any kind of playbooks we have with customers, we'll document the step-by-step approach. We can also create templates for any kind of conversation we have with customers just to make sure that we hit on certain topics. And we can also document any kind of email templates so that you ensure the consistency of messages to customers. Would you mind showing any kind of examples that you might did yourself in terms of any of these type of documents or processes for us? If you liked what you've heard so far, that's awesome. More coming in a second here, but in the meantime, I want you to click that like button so that YouTube knows that this is great content and you can start sharing it with others.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to share my screen and go into the QBR that we've helped templatize and automate to a great extent for our team. I'm actually in one of our clients right now, Chili Piper. They've been really gracious to let me demo on their account. What I'm going to do here is actually use our own plugin. So we use PandaDoc for everything that we've templatized. It's been fantastic for us. And obviously it's great to use our own product for something. In this, we've integrated with Salesforce and we've automated our QBR to pull in a lot of the data that lives on our Salesforce accounts. What I'm doing right now is basically just generating the PandaDoc, and we'll go ahead and do a quarterly business review. I'm going to go ahead and choose one of my coworkers here as the client. So right now I'm just filling in fields, and this will auto-populate throughout the deck.
You're adding so many people.
Yeah, so our QBR is really extensive. We like to pull in our account managers, our customer success managers naturally, but we also take it a step further and we pull in our solutions architect. You know, we're a SaaS platform. There's a lot of integrations that our clients want to use, or they might have API questions or try to do template embedding. So there's a lot of points where the conversation can get technical. And because it's such a high value conversation, we want to have the right parties involved so that we can address as much as possible on the call.
So this process is not just about creating the template for the customer. It's also about ensuring you're pulling in the right people. What concerns me a little bit that you're already adding the customer. What if you wanted to adjust the slide and it like for a week or two before you send it out to them? Can you do that?
It doesn't really keep us from doing that. I can adjust any of these roles even after I've created it. So yeah, so what I'm doing here is I clicked the template I want to use. And on that template, now I'm assigning like who's going to own what parts of the conversation in the QBR. And then when I start editing, it's going to start auto-populating all this information in there. And we got to a point where there was so much data we had to pull in that what we actually had to do is have our operations team build in this slide that tells our CSMs like, hey, don't make any edits right now. This document's populating with all of the information you need. I'll start scrolling through it so you can see what I mean as it does pull in that information. So, you know, you have your cover page, your agenda, all of this is automated. It pulled in based on me saying that I'm the customer success manager. It pulled in my photo, it pulled in my name, my email, my Chili Piper link, and it did the same for the account manager. So that's automated. Then we have a few spots where we still can be really personable. We still want to make sure that while we automate a lot of things, we're also making it personal for the client. We know every client's different. We automate the things that make sense across accounts. And then we keep some things blank that just need to be verified per account, or we want to gather new information. So we have spots where you can gather that info and fill it in. Anything that's yellow on here is going to be auto-populated. There's some things that we're still working on. So again, we're always iterating. We're always looking to make improvements. This is one of them. Right now, we still auto-populate which teams of theirs are using PandaDoc. We're working to make that automated. Always looking for improvements, but this is a lot of the data that was a huge time suck for us. So once we were able to identify the kind of info we wanted to pull in here, we then were like, okay, how do we make it not manual, right? Because it's taking our team so much time. When I was a CSM, it would take me upwards of an hour sometimes to create this. Once this got released, I could create it in 3 minutes. So it was just like huge time savings. And that time savings goes into being able to have more meetings. Now I'm being able to touch more of the clients too, and really have more conversations with them and more of the right conversations. Just to give you an idea, all of this automated, this is automated, this slide's automated. It's just like really, really good data that I don't have to go digging for. And it's just available to me. This was obviously a huge lift between teams, customer success, operations, data science. This information's coming from a handful of softwares, and we've just pulled them all into PandaDoc to feed into PandaDoc. So it requires collaboration to get here. And we're lucky that we have great teams that we collaborate with. Just to give you an idea, you're starting to see just how robust this deck is. And every slide I've been scrolling through is automated. So then we start to leave some space to get that personal touch and for us to fill in information and just gather more info that we might not have already. That kind of gives you an idea. And hopefully running through that, you can see why it would have taken an hour before. And even when I did manually grab that data, it didn't look pretty. Like I didn't have time to make graphs, I was presenting it in like a screenshot that looked really raw. It was like definitely an internal type of screenshot. So it's also more presentable and more digestible for clients too.
Very cool. So you can create these documents in a more consistent manner. You can control the conversation. And of course, once it's generated, I bet the CSM can just decide to hide some slides.
Oh yeah.
Add slides, whatever, everything that you can do regularly. I see on the right-hand side, there's like a lot of stuff. Okay, great. At this point, this is not shared with the customer yet, right?
No, not yet. Not yet. This is still internal. And typically the way we run it is we want to make edits on it as we have the conversation. So as our clients start to tell us new pieces of information, we directly make notes on here that we're very transparent. The client will have it. We have it. Some of the info on here even feeds back into Salesforce. So we eliminate one more step of manual work. But no, right now we just keep it in draft status as we present it and walk the client through it. And then after the conversation, we'll go ahead and send the document out and then it gets delivered.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. So what's next for you? You've done the QBR, the monthly slides. What else are you planning to do next?
I think we're in a really good spot with the kinds of templates we have. We're always looking out if there's something we're missing. We constantly gather feedback, whether it's from the internal team or asking clients, hey, is there something on here that you're not seeing that you want visibility into? So we're constantly iterating. I would say right now, one of the most exciting things we're looking to do is build out our metrics even more. We have a really good starting point with metrics, but we're double, triple, quadruple clicking into what else do we not have visibility into right now that would be very, very valuable for our customers. Continuing to iterate on our metrics that we share, I think is really where a lot of our heads are at. And we're really excited by that idea.
Yeah, I think you're making a real valid point here that a lot of times customer success managers are dragged down, spend hours of work preparing for meetings is because data is not centralized, it's not clean, it takes hours to pull together. And so it sounds like, templatizing and putting it in a consistent document is just half the battle. Maybe 2/3 of the battle is, can we automate creating these graphs and placing these KPIs and data into our documents? And of course, you need to have a sophisticated tool for that. So thanks for showing PandaDoc, a little pitch for you. If anybody is listening here and you already have the data and your team is still like, have lots of templates and it's not consistent. Well, there's a solution out there where you could just merge the two and have a jolly good time and really introduce a lot of productivity. By the way, I think another really important aspect of this is that, we're always thinking about low touch and tech touch and how we can almost semi-automate or completely automate the QBR experience for our lowest touch customers. And this is a great way to do it because it'll just generate the whole thing for them. And then I bet you can automatically email it to them as well. So what a great solution for that.
More of our tech touch customers, what we did is rather than delivering a full QBR, clients might not take the time to go through that on their own, right? And if they've never had someone walking them through it, it's just information overload. What we've done is we've taken really, really key data points, like 3 to 5, essentially, and we'll pull those into email campaigns. And those will go out. So there's just so many ways we've leveraged our metrics, whether it's in live conversations, through those tech touches. Yeah, they've come in handy quite a bit. I would say they're our bread and butter.
At the end of the day, before we conclude, you release these documents, they pull out the KPIs into the slides. How long have you had that and your team was able to enjoy that? And what are the big differences that you're seeing from where you guys started to where you are today?
I started with PandaDoc about 2 years ago. And when I started, we had templates, but I wouldn't say we were really held to using them. And we definitely went off on our own and created whatever we wanted. I would say consistently for the past year, we've had really strong templates and we've just made them stronger. So really holding strong in about a year for that. And we've seen some really great outcomes for that. So again, I mentioned before, it would take an hour to do our QBRs, create the QBR deck. We're now down to 5 to 10 minutes roughly. So I think that's about 80% time saved just on one document. We've also seen an increase in our customer health. We're delivering the right information. We're having the right conversations. And we've actually seen that our customer health has increased by about 4.5%. And then on that, we've also seen our employee happiness increase. Granted, we've done other things to improve that. I wouldn't just attribute it solely to improving processes, but when you're in processes day to day, definitely plays a factor if you're doing manual work or if you're really spending your time in the right places. And about a year ago, our employee NPS was 58. And when we tracked it this week, we're at 100. So it's definitely been a key factor in like listening to our team. What are the pain points? How do we solve, not just for our clients, but for our team? Because if our team's happy, they're having stronger conversations with clients, right? They're more excited about what they're doing. And again, they feel equipped to have the right conversations.
100%. They feel equipped to have the conversation. They have a better sense of what it is that they're supposed to be talking about.
Exactly.
Now there's a template that I can follow. Like I said, it structures the conversation. And then I don't need to spend a lot of time just collecting information manually and putting things together. Rather, the data is there for me. I just need to think about how am I going to lead the conversation to the outcomes I want for my customers and for my company.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, guys, if you like this video, smash that like button. It really helps our channel. Thank you, Ryanne, for all the information you shared today. If you have any questions for her, feel free to connect with her on LinkedIn. I'm sure she'd be happy to share even more examples. Mm-hmm. Anything as last thoughts, Ryanne, for our audience as they embark on their own journey to revamp and optimize their workflow processes?
Pay attention to the information that drives high-value conversations, whatever that is for your business, and then automate as much as you can so that it's scalable and repeatable for your team.
Guys, I'll see you at the next video.